Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Team Training Tuesday, and a very, very special welcome to this particular edition. I've entitled it the Doctors Panel, basically because I would like us all to hear what doctors have to say about what this particular family is all about. We belong to the family called NeoLife. And for those of you who are visiting us for the first time, or maybe have heard about it, but are not very sure what it's all about, you're most welcome. And I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Essa Zanambasi, a medical doctor. I've been that way for over 35 years. Actually, to be precise, this month it will be 38 years since I stepped out of medical school. And it's been quite an exciting journey of discovery about perhaps what I would love to see the world, the state of the world's health. So I've got this particular saying that I posted on my flyer, and it is by a certain doctor, medical doctor as well, called Mark Hyman. And he said, in school, we all learned how to read and write, but we never learned how to use our minds and to help us with the most important survival skills of all, which are staying happy and healthy. And research has shown over and over again that learning to relax is one of the most important keys to long-term health and vitality. Unfortunately, my experience of medical training was that it was far from relaxed. We were actually discouraged from actively relaxing because of the nature of the work, emergencies and calls. You were up all night. And I remember I actually didn't like it. I wanted to be able to help people to prevent challenges. So yes, I settled in the HIV arena where I spent most of my career, but all along looking for what I would call balance. And so when this opportunity came my way a few years ago, my husband and I were shown it, I recognized it as the balancing opportunity, or the thing that would bring balance into my life, because I just wanted all those areas to be balanced. My mental, my career, I just wasn't satisfied with focusing on sickness. My personal life, I wanted to become a better version of myself. Financial, physical, family. Yes, I wanted to spend more time with my young children. Then they are now adults. And socially, I didn't want to hang around sick people all the time. I wanted them to be healthy, hey? And all that, the spiritual side of it as well. I must say, I have seen in this opportunity that you all who are guests have been invited to, and those of you who are already in the opportunity, I'm sure you agree with me that this is what our experience is. It all revolves around food and eliminating toxins in our environment. So that is why I'm showing this picture, just so that you know what our focus is. We might be doctors, but this is an area that I wish more time could be spent in medical education. I think the tide might have turned now, but yeah, when we went to school a long time ago, they didn't spend too much time on nutrition. And so I just want to remind all of us, and especially other healthcare providers, that there is a difference between interest and commitment. I have found that it is easy to commit to something that shows results. Okay, so when you're interested in something, you do it only when it's convenient. when you are committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. And that is the ethos that I have found in this opportunity. So I don't want to hog the floor. I want to introduce NeoLife to all of you and to say that it is one company that I can truly see and say that they are, and we are, committed to excellence. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to invite Dr. Nambasi, Dr. Edward Nambasi. You might recognize that we share a surname. He lent me his surname because when we got married, I have adopted his name. So yes, Dr. Nambasi, you're welcome to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Edward Nambasi, as this lady whom I've had the absolute pleasure to call my partner for quite a few years. I'm a medical doctor as well, and I graduated, I think, perhaps maybe 90% of you are not born by then, but I'm in the medical profession for more than 40 years now. I love what I do, and I've continued doing it even after retirement. I still do sessions at the hospital, but my primary passion, introduced by this young lady, is NeoLife. And I'm a product of NeoLife in the sense that since we started using it all those years ago, we've never looked back, and our health has changed tremendously. I used to tell the story of when I still pre-NeoLife, in that I would get back home after work and slump in front of the TV to watch the news. By the time they were through the main headlines, I was being watched by the TV because I'd fallen asleep. That was my life, very exhausted and all that. But with the products that we've been using, my energy levels went up tremendously. And this didn't take long. It was just within 2 weeks of being introduced to the products. My message to you is that health is one of those things that we tend to take for granted until you lose it. And we're in a unique position as medical practitioners to actually see people who regret having not taken care of their health and then end up in our hands, and we try to patch up, but you cannot really patch up something that has been gone astray. As my wife normally preaches, the Lord intended us to eat healthy and to remain healthy. And that was the story of the Garden of Eden. But then we thought we were cleverer and started food processing and all those lovely things that we did. And that caused a lot of issues with our health. So my message is very simple, that health starts very early. In fact, I forgot to mention that my line of work is obs and gyn, and therefore quite interested in things to do with fertility, pregnancy, and childbirth. We know that even before a child is conceived, that's when we should be thinking about their health, because the fertility is affected by what we eat and how we look after our bodies. So for all young ladies out there who are planning families in future, and gentlemen, start looking after your health now. NeoLife offers a unique range of products, supplements, which can help in that respect. We'll not go into great detail on that, but as I say, health starts as a child, before the child is conceived, during conception, the development of the child in the womb, and then of course at birth, and continuing into the early years. So you find that NeoLife as a company, because of its ethos of using food-based, natural, non-GMO, is actually very uniquely placed to assist us in that journey of health. But it all begins with you. You've got to make a conscious decision to take responsibility for your own health and not to outsource it to people like me, my wife, and the other doctors that you'll hear on the panel. So with that brief, I'll hand back to my dear wife to carry on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is amazing to hear you. By the way, we're in the same house, but in different rooms. We didn't want to share the same screen. And now I have the utmost pleasure of inviting Dr. Baker Kabugo. Please unmute and speak to us. If you can show us your face ever so briefly. I know you are on a power outage, but yes, please. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Eseza. I'm very sorry I cannot show my face because I'm using a phone. We do not have power with us, but I'm really so grateful being part of this panel today, the doctors panel. My name is Baker Kabugo. I've been in practice for 20 years plus, and I did practice. From practice, I went in administration, and then I went in grant management. And in all my practice, I really liked maternal and child health promotion because those are the projects that I was working on. Currently, I am retired, but as a retired person, I also do the teaching because I'm a teacher of doctors. I don't know if you knew about that. And I'm really so grateful to be part of NeoLife. My journey with NeoLife, I have been in NeoLife for ever since I registered as a member. It is now 2 years, but actively being part of NeoLife, it's now 1 year. 1 year because the first year was all about being disoriented from this one to this one to this one to this one, just because of what I was doing. You know, I like NeoLife so much because it came, I think, in the right time. The person who introduced me to the opportunity had to move around, actually being close to me for close to 3 years. You know, we people in the medical field never much appreciate the use of nutritional supplements. So I used it to look at him as a person who tried to convince me to get into supplementation, which wasn't part of me. And being quite educated in nutrition, I really thought that I think we could get everything from our gardens. Actually, prior to my retirement, I was determined to set up an agro-nutrition and farmers training center. And little did I know that it was pulling me to NeoLife. Why? Because as a person who was interested in maternal and child health, it's all about the nutrition of mothers and the children to reduce on child mortality. And it's all about nutrition. So I thought as a retired person, I should have a facility to train people, to train mothers, to train parents, to show them how they could grow everything they wanted at their homes. So, and basically that's what happened. But my joining NeoLife came in as a matter of appreciating super growth. Actually, I did not join because of nutrition, because I had a bias of myself, but it's because of super growth. And after I started using Supergrow, just as it is called a wonder drop, I appreciated the produce at my facility. And then that's when I gave it a shot to let me look at also the nutritional part of it. I also really appreciated the knowledge that members of NeoLife had. Was one of the reasons. Okay, actually, one of the points that I was looking at is I wanted to know if these people were knowledgeable about what we are talking about. I'm referring to the nutritional part, and I was amazed because the person was explaining to me the nutritional part. When I looked at his background, it was a questionable one, but he was so articulate and actually asked some questions. I just liked the way they were answering them. I said, maybe I will give it a try. But you see, Actually, that's why this panel is a very good panel, because it brings in people who are in the same profession, but having different minds, and having different times of mind change. Now, looking at you, Cesar, 28 years plus in NeoLife, you had a much earlier mind change. And me, I can say 1 year mind change. Now you can see that big difference, but it all goes back what you mentioned before, that when we are in a medical school, we are not taught to appreciate nutrition. Actually, we just studied about it in first year and the second year. The rest of the years is the pumping of whatever we have to be as our profession is. But to have real good health, it's not about the medicine. No. It's all about what you eat. It's all about your nutrition. When I am discussing with doctors, I normally ask them one question. Can we categorize the diseases we have? According to me, we have 3 categories of diseases. We have infectious diseases. Of course, we know that. And when we are in medical school, that's what we focus on, tropical diseases. And we also have metabolic diseases, that syndrome. And that one, if you asked any medical personnel what type of medicine you can use to cure that, I assure you, even the greatest professor will not have it, because it is nutritional related. And that's what we go out for in internal medicine. Remember, we do clinical medicine for infectious diseases. Now we go to internal medicine, studying organs, studying hormones, studying how systems work together to create a human being. You realize that internal medicine is totally nutritional. And the third one is autoimmune. Many do not know that autoimmune is another category, though we normally say it is genetic. But I believe, yeah, genes can have their own contribution. But I also know that nutrition also triggers the beginning of autoimmune. So I'm really so excited being part of us here, and actually being part of this panel. I'm so grateful hearing from your husband. First time hearing from your husband. I've always heard from you. And also hearing from Dr. Lawi. I have had a lot of stories about him in Kampala here at the warehouse. So I'm grateful to be part of the panel today, and thank you for inviting me. I look forward for a very pleasant and wonderful session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Becca Kabugo. Yes, and I think this is actually the seed that is going to germinate as we all hold hands and reach out to as many people as we can, because that is the plan of NeoLife. And now, perhaps without mentioning age, I've put Dr. Lawi to speak to us last, because he might be the most junior of us, with all due respect. So Dr. Lawi, please, if you can show us your face, we would love to see you.
Okay, good evening. How are you? How is everyone? Hope I'm audible enough. For those that we are meeting for the first time, well, we've never met. My name is Dr. Lawi.
Okay. You know what, you can switch off your camera.
I'm so excited to be part of this panel, the medical school. Am I audible?
Yeah, the bandwidth was a bit low, but if it remains low, you'll switch off your camera.
Okay, no problem. So like I was saying, I met NeoLife when I was at the medical school at Makerere some years back. A friend of mine introduced me to this opportunity. At that time, I was, as just like many doctors who have spoken before, I was also very skeptical about nutrition. And I remember the first line of products that I was interested in was the first line of products that I was interested in was only the healthcare products. I mean, the cleaning products. And the cleaning products were a little bit simple for me to understand, because I was not so used to nutrition. Just like many other doctors, you only know about the conventional medicine. You only know about the drugs and other forms of treatment. So I wasn't really conversant with the nutrition part. And I remember being in NeoLife for almost 6 months, not believing even in what the products were doing. I would be that kind of a person who would sit in a NeoLife meeting, listen to someone share about their health story, how their health has been impacted by NeoLife. And I would think maybe they were bluffing, or maybe someone had told them what to say. That's what I was imagining. And that went on for quite a long time. But until some months later, my grandfather was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and his prognosis was not very good. You know, in the village, how people take prostate cancer. By the time it was diagnosed, it was very late. It had messed the blood, had eaten up the bones, the large intestines, and what. So the prognosis was very good, and that's when we reached at the dead end. The doctors told us there's nothing much they could do, and gave him a prognosis of about 6 months to live. That's when I remembered about NeoLife. That's when I remembered about all those stories I used to hear. And you know, when life puts you at a corner, that's when you're willing to try and risk many things. So that's when we decided, let's get some of the products and give it to him. Initially, he was someone who could not even get out of bed. But when he started using the products, his health started improving little by little. In a week, he could sit at the edge of the bed by himself. After a few more days of using the products, he could get the energy to walk all the way to the living room, and with time he resumed his normal duties. He went even for more than 6 years, I can say. So that's when I started believing in the products, and ever since that, I haven't looked back. I've personally used them, and people in my family use them. For the last so many years, I feel I have a responsibility to share with people around the world and teach them about nutrition, chronic diseases, and that's something I feel very close to my heart, and I'm privileged to be part of. I feel privileged to be invited in this call.
Okay, thank you so much. Gentlemen, I'm the only lady among us, and I suspect it's because we girls take care, by and large, take care of the cooking and the cleaning, that this to me was, I just thought to myself when I was shown it, of course, that was my reaction. Of course, this makes absolute sense. So I did not hesitate. I got started. I was looking for cleaning products. And that's because I had connected dots between manifestation of symptoms and toxins. Now, that is the kind of thinking that we want to share with everybody. And so I'm going to stop this portion of the recording and then start another portion. So first of all, let's stop sharing. Okay, let's stop the recording.